Hey there viewers and welcome back. My name's Matt and we are playing through Police Quest 1. Where we left off was we just did a traffic stop for someone running a red light. We've written out the ticket, we've given it to them, and now we need to basically hit the streets again and continue patrolling. So let's start the engine and get out of here. Enraged, the young woman shrieks as you drive off. Your mama wears army boots, you something head. Okay, so she's not happy with us for pulling her over and writing her a ticket. So that's one of a few traffic stops we'll be doing through this playthrough. But at the moment, we're just going to cruise the streets and we're going to see where it takes us. So again, this is part 2. Just to remind you, part 1 we started off playing the game. We basically went to the briefing, got all of our stuff, got in the car, started driving around. So far we've gone to one, basically drive-by shooting. So where a person was shot while they were driving their car and crashed, so we attended that scene. And then we came across someone running a red light, and then we wrote her a ticket, and now we're cruising around again. So again, as I said in the first part, there is a lot of kind of procedural based stuff, and a lot of it is just driving around looking for things to happen, or waiting for things to come up on the radio. Also from part 1, we are playing this on a Laser XT3 8086, which is not quite the same as the computer we used for the Space Quest. Sorry, it was Space Quest 1 playthrough, not Space Quest 3. We used the Turbo XT. So it's a slightly different one, and this one is a lot more original with right down to the original Miniscribe 20 megabyte hard drive. So again, we're just sort of patrolling the back streets here. If this goes on for a bit too long, I might just kind of fast forward it through the video a bit just to keep things moving. But hopefully soon something will happen that's going to be a bit more fun. So again, we have a red light here. I'm a bit impatient, so as soon as this car goes through, I'm just going to put the sirens on and we're going to run it. Whoops, that's the wrong button. No, not that one either. There we go. Technically you could drive around with the sirens on all day if you wanted to, but it's really hard not to crash. And it's a bit of a rough way to go, so we're just going to use the sirens when we need to. So again, we're just patrolling the map. Up here, I believe we're going to come across where we were earlier. So there's Carol's Cafe and Castle. Now, notice out the front of Carol's Cafe and Castle, so that's sort of cut out around that white building sort of on the middle of the screen. There's something parked kind of at 45 degrees, and we see on the screen we now have dispatch squawks 8332 8332 respond to a complaint at Carol's Cafe and Castle. So does anyone want to take a guess what those small 45 degree parked things are? So again, I'm just going to save it here. So Matthew at disturbance, and let's see if we can not crash it. So we're going to come in at 45, square it up, and we'll park. So who guessed motorbikes? Now another thing that I never came across until later is when you look in your car, you notice you have a nightstick. So let's take the nightstick. That could be useful for a disturbance. Let's open our door, get out, close the door, and let's see what's going on. Now I'm also going to save it here, because there's kind of a funny thing you can do. So if you watch the Space Quest 1, actually no, it's not in Space Quest 1, it's in Space Quest 4, which we have not done yet. There's a thing in Space Quest where you can kick over some motorbikes, but with this one, if you just walk up to the bikes, you can knock them over. Oops. Now, we've got a score of 56. Let's just restore that game. And let's see if we actually lost any points, because I wasn't watching. It doesn't seem you lose any points, but you can knock the bikes over, which is kind of funny. So first thing we need to do, we need to go in and we've got to see what the disturbance is all about. So let's go talk to Carol. Carol's obviously upset as she blurts in a loud tone of voice. Oh, Sonny, those drunken bikers in the bar next door are taking up all the parking places in front of my cafe. They just have no consideration for others. Where do my customers going to park? Would you ask them to please move their motorcycles? Great. Another chapter in your life of big-time crime stalking. Parking space hogging. Okay. So it's not really a disturbance. She's just upset that they've parked their motorbikes out the front of her cafe. So we can use the radio. So we've copied that we're at the castle. We're not really responding to the disturbance yet because we haven't found the people. I'm just going to save it again here just to save a little bit of time. Now there's again 2 ways we can approach this situation. I'm guessing the bikers are going to be in Wino Willie's. So let's have a look in here. Because this is just a pretty seedy looking bar. As he heads for the back room, the bartender mumbles under his breath, "Here comes trouble." So the bartender has left, so he's afraid of what's going to happen. Now we can ask about bikes. Okay, we'll talk to bikers. Talk to men. The animal in the black leather jacket says, "We don't talk to no pigs." Move bikes. The animal in the black leather jacket says, "Hey pal, I'm the lead around here. You want to talk? Come over and talk to me." The leader of this bunch comes over and says, well, if it ain't the tidy bowl man." So we can then say, well, okay, what the something do you want? Move bikes. How do you plan to make us move our bikes, wimp? So here's where it can get a bit ugly. So he's going to come up to us, say goodnight. We're going to kick the something out of you. Now we have one of 3 things can happen. You can do nothing and they basically beat you up and you die. The one that I always used to do was, I think I used gun. Oh, okay. Click, dry firing an empty gun is okay. Raise gun. Show gun. Load gun. You can't use your gun here. I used to think you'd be able to... Oh, okay. It appears that you're just what these lowlifes wanted. Alright, so he's beating us up pretty badly. And there's a guy doing the moonwalk on us as well. So that's not great. I thought there was a way that you could go in and you could draw the... I think it might be draw weapon. So let's just load the gun first. And it's definitely the wrong way of doing it because there are no guns. There's no escalation in this. So if I then go move bikes, draw weapon. Okay. Use nightstick is the correct way of doing this. You remove your PR-24 and take a defensive stance. The head biker quickly backs down saying, "Excuse us, sir. If you're going to be rough with us, we'll just leave quietly." I thought, and I might be remembering wrong, maybe it's the remake. Come on guys, let's blow this joint. You used to be able to raise your gun to them and they'd just run away, which is the wrong way of doing it because that's too much force, whereas the nightstick is what the police manual says is appropriate. So anyway, we've done that. The local working girl seated at the bar seems to know you. She hops from the stool and shouts, "Sonny Bonds, is that you?" "My hero, boy, am I glad you showed up. Those guys had some pretty strange ideas." So let's look girl. You recognise Sweet Cheeks Marie as an old chum from high school. She obviously failed stewardess school. Talk to girl. "What's cooking good looking?" asks your old friend Sweet Cheeks Marie. "It has been too long, Sonny. I haven't seen you around lately. I just want you to know something." What? I just want you to know something. What do you want me to know? What is that? Ask about Marie? That's weird. Like, I just know you... Oh, I just know you want something, not I just want you to know something. Just reading this backwards. Okay. Ask about life. Ask about career. Ask about bikers. Oh, ask about drugs. Okay. So again, remember it was quite a I guess a focus of the briefing that we were supposed to be looking out for drugs and drug-related, activities. So maybe she knows something. Okay, obviously you've come to the right place. Sweet Cheeks Marie spills her guts to you. You know what I heard the other day, says Marie. There's a big dope man trying to take over Lytton. He likes to call himself the Death Angel. I don't know more about him, but this John was sure a peculiar duck. I only seen him once, and I'm not sure about his name. I think it was Kaufman or Hoffman, something like that. He's a real spiffy dresser, but the funniest thing, the guy has a sweet little flower tattoo above his left nipple. It was kind of cute, really. That's the only real news in town, sweet thing. In return for the information on the Death Angel, you tell Sweet Cheeks of the upcoming undercover crackdown on prostitution called Operation Trick Trap. So you kind of reward her a little bit by basically saying, hey, what you're doing is wrong, but, here's something, don't get caught. So now we know there's this guy called Hoffman. So another name that we have sort of to keep in the back of our minds to look out for. So let's save the game again. Matthew after bikes. Cool. So long, sweetie, says Sweet Cheeks Marie. Come and see me sometime when we can spend more time, darling. So she will focus in this game a little bit more, a little bit later on when we come to an undercover operation. But as for now, let's use the radio. Complaint resolved. So that is all fixed. Get in, close the door, drive. Okay. Back on the mean streets. So now we know there's a guy called Hoffman. We know he's got a tattoo. And that can be useful because, let's say we come across someone, they might say their one name, make up a name or something like that, but we can use the tattoo as sort of supplementary evidence for who they are. So again, we're cruising around up here with that sort of backwards C-shaped driveway just on sort of the middle of the screen. That's the Hotel Delforia. We are going to go there a bit later in the game. So there is quite a few locations to visit here, which is kind of fun. And I think at this point, we're again just going to be on the lookout for any sort of traffic stops, that sort of thing. Another annoying set of lights. We're just going to burn through. There we go. And yeah, so again, here we are with the freeway. Just got to be careful again, I don't crash into people. The other cars on here don't really follow the traffic laws per se. They follow the traffic lights, but when it comes to an intersection, it doesn't matter if they have right of way or not. If there's no traffic light there, they'll just keep going. So you have to be a little bit careful. Alright, so let's cruise sort of down this way towards the jail. I have a feeling the next stop we've got is a DUI. It's either going to be now or in our next shift, but I think all of the ones, the DUI and the red light running, are doing this shift, and then the more interesting traffic stop happens in the next one. Hey, there we go. The nice part about this is we're near the jail at this point, so we don't have far to drive the drunk dude. So you observe an erratically driven vehicle and feel the driver may have had one too many. Now, we've got to work out which car on the screen it is. It'll be pretty obvious. They should be all over the road. So it's that purple one there. See, okay, see they ran the red light. So let's put our sirens on. And we're just going to keep following after them. And trick is just kind of keep alongside of them as much as you can. I might actually just save it because they are a bit erratic and they can crash into you. So we don't want that to happen. Maybe just try and get... There we go. He slowly pulls to the right and jumps the curb and comes to a stop. So it certainly appears that the person's intoxicated. Alright, so what we're going to do now, we are going to park. We are going to use the radio. So, your radio dispatch. Run check on personalised license plate PRGR MR1, so Programmer 1. It appears to be currently registered. Dispatch returns with PRGRMR1 is clear with valid local registration in the name of Art Sarabian. Alright. Record check shows 2 prior DUI convictions. Okay, so this guy has a history for drink driving. Again, no real cause for alarm at this point to, get back up. He pulled over. He has a record for DUI, so it's likely he is intoxicated. So you cautiously approach the vehicle and observe one male seated behind the wheel. Rolling down his window appears to be quite a challenge to him. So he is having a tough time. Okay, let's just save it here. Don't think we can make any mistakes with this one except one, which is very obvious. So let's look at the driver. You look into the glassy, watery eyes of a middle-aged man. He is certainly feeling no pain. Ask for license. The man fumbles with his wallet. My license? It's right. Yeah, here it is. Art Sarabian, 5'8". Basically, nothing too much there. He's got a restriction as a programmer. I think it's a bit of an inside joke towards the programmers who did this. Since the information on the driver's license matches the subject, you return his license to him. Okay, so at this point, we're not going to write him a ticket because he's driving terribly, so get out of car. The gentleman responds to your request. Yes, sir. So he's going to kind of stand there. Now we need to perform sobriety test. You correctly administer the field sobriety test and are amused as your subject gives you his best imitation of a young swan attempting its first takeoff. So in other words, he failed the sobriety test miserably. Okay, so at this point he needs to be arrested. So read rights. Carefully you admonish your suspect of his Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. What you say may be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to represent you before questioning if you wish. Arrest man. Reluctantly he says, okay, where are we going? So as not to excite him, you say, we're just going to take a little ride to see some friendlies of yours. It's okay, buddy, come on. Cuff man. Okay, so you need to cuff him because, again, you don't know he's a violent offender. He might try and do something weird. So the drunk begs you, could you please cuff me in front, please? I'm not feeling so good. No. Not wanting to take a chance, you explain, I'm sorry, sir, but departmental policy dictates all custody arrests should be restrained by proper handcuffing procedure, and that means behind your back. You place your subject under arrest for the violation of Lytton City Vehicle Code VC 23502, driving while under the influence. So I think I should have put the cuffs on him before I arrested him, actually, but the game let me get away with it. So, open door. That'll let him get in. Close the door. No, we want the back door. Now, radio tow truck. You key the radio. Dispatch, this is 8332, request 11185 at my 1020. One tow truck en route. So basically the tow truck's going to come and get his car. If you miss that, it'll still be fine. You just lose some score. Now you may be wondering, what happens if you, after DUI, can't do two things at once. What happens if you cuff him in front or you don't cuff him at all? Well, basically he strangles you when you get in the car, which is not a great thing. So just for fun, we can see what happens there. So we'll just restore our game. So get out. Look license. So we look at his license. That's great. Get out. He'll get out eventually. There we go. Form variety test. So basically fails that. And now if you just type arrest man. So we'll go that way. And then let's say we cuff man. And if I say yes, he sure doesn't look dangerous. Why not? So we still arrest him, but we've cuffed him in front. Now, when we go over here, if we open the door, he karate chops you. You just fell victim to an old trick. There are always 2 rules to remember. Always follow procedures and never trust a drunk. So basically that's just a very good warning in this game early on that you have to stick to the procedures. So we have this time, so let's get in, close the door, and you can either start engine or you can drive. Doesn't really matter, does the same thing. So whenever you arrest someone, you have to take them to jail. So what about my car? Don't worry, it'll be towed somewhere safe at your expense. So as I said, luckily I kind of did it deliberately. I drove around the jail near that part because I knew that's when he was going to show up. And if you're a long way away on the map, it can take a lot longer to drive to the jail, which can be a bit annoying. So as I said earlier in part 1, the events here, unlike King's Quest and a few other games, the events are timed, but they're not location based necessarily. So things like the drunk driver, the red light runner, it'll just be wherever you happen to be at a given time, not a certain screen. So we'll pull into the jail here. Don't really need to park properly, which is brilliant. Close the door. Now, here's the tricky bit. So we have a firearm on us. Now, if we take a firearm into the jail, it's a very bad idea. So there's these little lockers here. So if we just type look, it gives us a bit of info. This is the officer's booking entrance to the Lytton City Jail. In the exercise yard, a prisoner dribbles continuously. He also bounces his basketball. Small joke there. Look door. You're not close enough. Look building. Doesn't really say much there. Let's say look door. You're not close enough. I think it's trying to get me on the car door. So we do look wall. There are gun lockers at the top of the stairs, a heavy steel-plated door and a push button. A video surveillance camera slowly sweeps the area. So we open the locker. Put gun in locker. Close locker. I don't know if you have to take key on this one. No, you don't. Police Quest 2 is another notorious one. If you don't take the key out of the locker, what'll end up happening is someone steals your gun while you're in the jail, which is a bad day. So let's let this guy out. Close the door. Pretty sure you have to put the gun in the locker before you let him free. It might let you do it after he walks up the stairs, but I've always done it beforehand just in case. So this dude is really 3 sheets to the wind at the moment. So let's press button. So he's absolutely cooked. So we're just going to basically dump him in jail until he sobers up. The jailer greets you with a friendly, "If you're still selling tickets, I don't need any." What can I do for you, Hot Pencil? So Hot Pencil's kind of the nickname. Let's just search this guy too. Probably should have done that at the traffic stop to make sure he wasn't carrying any concealed weapons, but yeah, whatever. Alright, so book prisoner. What are you charging with? Now, I think you're supposed to use the proper, like, codes. Let's just put DUI. You remove the inventory and prisoner's personal property and hand it to the jailer with a booking slip. Oh, I think actually that's fine. The jailer takes the prisoner's property and then says, "Okay, Monty, remove this gentleman's cuffs and place him behind door number 1. Remove cuffs. "Wow, boy, that feels good," says the drunk. "Those cuffs are so tight, I thought my hands had fallen off." Yeah, so when you book the people, you basically have to use a proper code. Like DUI was, a guess from my partner worked, but there's a later one where I always get it wrong, and it sort of says, "Oh yeah, whatever, we'll just book him." If he throws up on the floor, the jailer laughs. You're going to clean it up, Bonds. So he sort of staggers his way into there. Door shuts. "Gee, thanks a lot, officer," says the drunk. "I'm so happy I could just something." Cool. What's this dude doing over here? Whoa. "The man in the cell is upset by your presence here. He jeers, 'Say, fool, if you're not my lawyer, then get out of my face.'" Okay. He doesn't want to talk to us. Oh, who's this? Laura enters the jail and says, "Hey Sonny, I need to speak with you for a moment. A position is opened in the narcotics division, and according to Lieutenant Morgan, it'll be fulfilled by a veteran street cop. If you're interested, submit a memo to Lieutenant Morgan as soon as possible. It'll be a great chance for you to get out of that uniform for a while." Cool, so an opportunity's opened up. Just as Laura leaves, the jailer yells at you, "Hey, Hot Pencil, come over here. I just hung up from talking to Dooley and he is hot." The jailer continues, "He wants you back at the office on the double." Okay, so we got to go back to the office. I think we forgot to radio in when we got to the jail. Whoops. Again, this game is super procedural, so you lose score for that, but, you know, whatever. Let's open the locker. Take our gun. Close the locker. Wander down the stairs. So we got to get back to the police station. Alright, open door. Get in. Close door. Oh, I'm just going to replace the nightstick now. Because when we get back to the police station, it's a problem if we're still carrying it. Let's save this as well, just in case I crash. After DUI sounds good. Alright. Since I'm in a hurry, let's just go flat out. Police station's up here, if I remember correctly. Alright. Dooley said he wanted us there ASAP, so that's what he's getting. I'm pretty sure you can just park like super haphazardly like that in here too, which you can. Yeah, close the door. And let's see what all the fuss is about. Now the other thing was Laura said submit a memo to request a transfer to narcotics. So we can also do that while we're here. That's actually done just as we go through this door. So if we just type look, there's a table against the far wall below a photograph. The 3 doorways lead to Lieutenant Morgan's office, to the outside, and to the narcotics office. So let's have a look at this table, because you can sort of see there's some paper there in a basket. On the table is a basket marked in. This is where you submit reports and memos. Next to the basket is a pad of blank memos. So write memo. You write out a request for transfer to the narcotics division. Place memo in basket. You place your request into the in basket. Cool. So now we've put our request in for transfer. So shortly after this, I think we have to do a couple more shifts. Then we're sweet. "If that gremlin keeps messing with me," says Sergeant Dooley, "I'm going to notify Internal Affairs to start an investigation." "When I find out who the little weasel is," says Sergeant Dooley, "you'd better believe that he or she will be walking a footbeat from the river all the way to Joe's junkyard." So this gremlin thing, I don't know where it came up. But okay. "Hey, Sonny," Dooley says. "He's going to start a big internal affairs investigation just because some fool put a stinking smelly bird on his desk." Alright. So, see, everyone's just following you. They're looking for you to go into the office. So we'll open the door. And we have a chicken. You can hardly believe your eyes. A full-grown chicken with its legs tied together is flapping about and about, clucking raucously right on Sergeant Dooley's desks. Feathers fly everywhere, but that's not the worst. Unfortunately, the chicken has lost control of her bodily functions. The mysterious gremlin has struck Sergeant Dooley again. "Sonny, if I find out that you're the inconsiderate, worthless gremlin, I'll hang you out to dry." Okay, so let's look at the chicken. You think to yourself, this is one excited chicken. As you watch it flop, squirt, and cluck around Dooley's desk, you bite your lip trying to keep from laughing. I don't think we can take the chicken. Nah, you don't want to do that. Who'd dirty their clean uniform by picking up a chicken that just relieved herself all over Sergeant Dooley's desk? Alright, so at this point, we can just open door, and we can wander on out. Alright. Hey Sonny, you're off duty, aren't you? Some of us are going by the blue room to throw Jack a little surprise party. After you change clothes, why don't you stop by? Sure, see you there. The dance we hired for Jack's party is something else. Alright, so now we're off duty. Let's replace keys. Replace radio. I don't know why the dude just keeps following us. It's kind of weird. But we need to go in here and we need to change. So we've got the guy mopping the floor. Come on, man. Give me some room before I mop a shine onto those big feet of yours. Alright. Open locker. So we need to take the towel. Because regulations require a shower before changing. Close locker. So I don't know why the regulations require a shower. I guess they just don't want you to stink. Just kind of wander over here. Turn on shower. Ah, there's nothing like a nice hot shower. Alright, so you can kind of just, you know, wander around here. Turn off shower. And then back to the locker. Open locker. Take clothes. And take key. Close the locker. Alright, so now we're wearing our street clothes. We've got our key to our Corvette. And as they said, there's a bit of a function going on at the blue room. So let's save it here. So let's call this after first shift. Alright. So now we're just going to make our way back to the blue room, which I mentioned a little earlier on, and see what's going on with this function. I think they said it was a birthday function, so it takes a little bit of a turn for the worst, because as it turns out, well, you'll see in a minute, the poor police officer has a bit of a problem. Now, out here, so the blue car down there is our Corvette. Looks like about a C2 or a C3. Maybe a C3, the front end. So this one we don't actually have to walk around, even though I'm kind of doing it. Get in, close door. Let's just do a save here, just again in case I crash it. Drive. Alright, so same old driving interface as before. Now I think the blue... Oh, see what I mean about the traffic laws? I had right away there completely, but that other car, because it doesn't, you know, have a very good AI with this sort of thing, it just doesn't care. So it just crashed straight into me. So let's try that again, preferably with less crashing this time. That's better. Still was pretty close though. Now I think the blue room, I always get this slightly wrong. I think it's over to the left, or it might be over to the right. I think it's actually over to the right, but let's just try to the left first because that's closer. Now the only bad part about our civilian car is the fact that it doesn't have a siren. So we can't just go like flat out and, you know, run red lights and stuff like that. So yeah, there's the Hotel Del Foria. So I think we've got to go over this way. This is where having the map is handy. You don't have to kind of like drive around in circles and try and find this place. Let's see. Oh, we can go a bit faster. That's something. Technically we're speeding at this point, but oh well. Whoops. We're a policeman, so it's like, well, not really okay, but we're probably not going to get caught. Alright, let's try going across to the right. There is the blue room. Okay. So let's go back to normal speed. Hopefully I don't crash it. Maybe let's save it here. This is at Blue Room. So just like Carol's Caffeine Castle, you go until you just about crash. Then you come in straight. Alright. Got to be a bit careful not to walk too far out to the street. I think you get run over. Okay, so here we are at the Blue Room. You see your friend Jack seated alone at the table. There is a jukebox against the wall to the left. Let's just do a look. This is the Blue Room, a popular lounge for cops. Behind the bar stands the owner, a retired LPD officer, Bobby Lopez. So let's sit. Jack speaks. Boy, what a depressing day I've had today, Sonny. Oh. So, yep, we're in for the ride here. Jack speaks in a very depressed voice. Oh, Sonny, I've just discovered my daughter is doing drugs. It's really screwed me up. I know she's getting them at school, but I just can't finger the punk who's supplying. My life is going to crap. I can't talk to my daughter. She won't listen to me anymore. My drinking has my marriage on the rocks. My wife's ready to leave me. Everything's a mess. So this poor guy's having a rough time. Hey, Keith, you say, how's it going? Good, Sonny, he replies. Oh my god. Jack is totally surprised as everyone sings happy birthday. So we got the cake there with the candles. And any second now, Hoochie Coochie Hannah, a dancer from the local Rent-A-Gag business, enters the room dressed in a grass skirt and balloons. Jack says, oh no, now what? You say, it's time to stand up and face the music, Jack. Wow. There goes the balloons. And so she'll just kind of dance around here. Gives him another kiss. In a most seductive voice, Hoochie Coochie Hattie whispers, here's a little something so you'll have a happy birthday, Jack, baby. Keith says, well, Jack, you old codger, what did you think of Hoochie Coochie Hannah? You know, Keith, Jack answers, I think I'll ask Santa to put her under my tree this year. Classic. Keith pipes up, oh my gosh, Sonny, did you forget? We swapped shifts last week. You're due in the station for a swing shift briefing in 15 minutes. Oh dear. So I better roll because I am straight on for a double shift. So we're going to head back to the old Corvette out here. And we're going to cruise back to the police station. Alright, so this is the annoying part about this, because now I can't run this red light. So I've got to just sit here like a pleb and wait for the thing to actually turn green. And when it actually turns green, I've got to watch that green car down the bottom doesn't just crash into me, which will be super annoying at this point. But yeah, definitely no sirens on the Corvette, which is unfortunate. Alright, so that dude technically ran a red, but that's alright, we'll just ignore that. So now we're entering the swing shift, so I'm not sure exactly what time it is, but it's something o'clock. Must be getting fairly late, because we started, it was a 1 o'clock shift to begin with. So I'm guessing this is like, I don't know, maybe 8:30 at night, something like that. And again, we're stuck at the lights, which is super annoying. I suppose I could have just gone around the block. But, yeah, What can you do? So when this game came out, it got a lot of criticism for the driving interface, and even the developers weren't very happy with it. I think Jim Walls especially was worried that people would absolutely hate it, and they didn't like it, but at the end of the day, it was not a deal breaker. And people still bought this game in huge, huge quantities. Okay, so we're back for another shift. So back into the police station. And this will be our last shift, if I recall correctly, as a regular sort of beat cop who just patrols the streets. And after this one, I believe we get our transfer requests granted. So we go on to narcotics. And you can kind of see from early on, that's where this game was going to go in terms of, there's been a big focus on sort of the drugs side of things and the homicide. So staying on a beat cop sort of thing wouldn't really lead the game in the right direction. There's the classic Morris Fudley thing about he's always in the shower. So again, this was based on Jim Walls' career as a cop. So a lot of this stuff he's taken from experience. So they probably had people in the police department that like to shower for a long time and kind of get out of work and be a bit slack. Boy, you can sure tell there's a full moon out. You should see the nut I arrested last night for being under the influence of drugs. This dude was so wide, he was nude breakdancing on loose gravel. His back looked like raw meat. Ugh. Yuck. Alright, let's have a shower. All done. Open the locker again. Take uniform. Take gun. Take ammo. Take case. Close locker. Now let's head to our second briefing for the swing shift. I wonder if you can look at time. Nah, can't look at the time, unfortunately. We'll get the radio and the keys in a minute. So yeah, there's no time on the board. In his firm voice, Dooley reminds you, being punctual to briefings might keep some of those corrective memos out of your pigeonhole, Bonds. Now find your seat. So he's not pleased we're late. Sergeant Dooley says, men, we've received information from the day sergeant concerning a missing persons report filed early this morning. It seems that a Mexican male, physical description of 5'8", 145 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, by the name of Jose Martinez, was last seen by his wife 2 days ago, getting into a late model light blue Cadillac. No one has seen or heard from Martinez since. Now remember, the first stop we did with that accident, the witness said they saw a light blue Cadillac going past. So that's another obvious clue that this is maybe linked. This person has some previous arrests involving narcotic sales, says Dooley, concluding the briefing. Be advised, this black Cadillac may be the one and the same as involved in the recent murder of Lonnie West. We have a partial license plate number of L964. So it's certainly looking like it's all connected. There is a drugs angle in all of this. There's a Cadillac. And yeah, it's all coming together. Dooley then proceeds to give everyone their beat assignments for the day. Concluding with yours, Sonny Bonds, your call number will be 8332. Keep it safe out there, boys and girls. So it looks like this is the night shift. I'm late for court, Sonny. Catch you later. Oh, okay, that was weird. I guess just because I walked past that dude. So let's look in the pigeonhole again. You check for your pigeonhole and find a sealed envelope. Ripping it open, you read a message from an unknown informant advising you of an illegal, high-stakes gambling in the back room of the Hotel Delforia Cocktail Lounge. You vow to remember the information and discard the envelope and the message. You should buy a new watch, Sonny. You might show up for time for once. Okay. So basically, we now also have another piece of information. There is some high stakes gambling at the Hotel Delphoria. Now, at this point in time, we're still a beat cop. We don't investigate that sort of thing, but it could be useful in the future. So let's take a radio. Let's also take some keys. And then back out to the old patrol car to cruise the streets. Alright. So just looking at the time, I think we've been going for about 40 minutes. So we'll probably start to wrap this up in just a second. Maybe we'll just get into the car and we'll do a bit of an outro. So again, we're going to be starting onto the third part. This game is quite long. I might actually end up breaking into 4 parts or even more. Just because I don't want these to go for more than about 40-45 minutes each. Otherwise it gets rather boring. So we'll do our little walk around our car. We'll get in and then we'll break it off this time. Close the door. I want to thank you again for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying these playthroughs. If you have any comments or suggestions, please put them below. Likewise, if you're enjoying the content, please like the video. It doesn't cost you a thing and it really does help the channel to grow. Thanks again, and I'll catch you for part 3.